All right, so now we're going to move on to hc1 and Airside. Allow me to introduce Brent Atwood, Chief Operating Officer at hc1, and Jessica Patel, Chief Revenue Officer of Airside, which we've actually been working with for a while. You guys were in one of our first accelerator programs, and you were working on the identity solution in the past, which you did really well with. And I think it's amazing that you're able to pivot and come up with an offering based on the demand of the industry. But looking forward to hearing from you. Please take it away.
Great, thanks, Jordan. Um, Next slide, please. Thank you. Yeah, so I thought I would start by introducing everyone to Airside. As Jordan mentioned, we are a digital identity company. And we're the leading pioneer in digital identity and privacy management. Our broader goal, which has existed for a long time prior to this current crisis, is to bring privacy to everyone everywhere in an information sharing world. And we accomplish this vision by empowering our customers with the most secure and convenient solution for managing and sharing their information. And we've used this same platform, the same technology to add some health passport information and services. Next slide, please. Thank you. So to deep dive a little bit on the digital identity network that we've developed, on the relying party side or the business side, we offer a API called Airside X, which is proprietary, and it's used to verify and access information on a consent basis without any storage liability for the organizations. What this is doing is really helping organizations to reduce their burden of complying with privacy regulations because they're not needing to capture and store the data. In regards to health passports, this is particularly important as we've heard of HIPAA concerns that our relying parties have inside and outside of travel in terms of capturing or obtaining this information. On the consumer side, we do offer the Airside app, which is enabling individuals to grant consent to share their information, may that be digital identity information or now their health records, with full transparency on what, with whom, why, and for how long that information is being shared. And this app does exist today on both stores. Slide, please. Thank you. As we're all here to speak about today, health passport in the news, I'm sure many of us have seen the headlines that are captured here. These are real headlines that we've seen throughout 2020. And it ranges from what started as test result sharing to this movement toward the immunity passport or vaccination passport. And we do want to touch on both elements of data. But I'll kind of point out this one in the bottom left corner here, which says the potential abuses of a coronavirus health passport are downright frightening. So of course, we're all here today to talk about what the benefits of a health passport are. And I think the key is from a user's perspective to make sure that we're actively addressing their concerns so that they're adopting the solution that I think is going to help to recover the travel industry and many of these other industries in a safe way, and sort of address what could have been an abuse that they might be concerned about. Slide, please. Thank you. So for key considerations that we think are really on the user's mind, as well as on the relying party's mind, there's three key things that we want to point out. The first is security. Individuals are really concerned about their health information that's extremely private being kept safe in any solution that they're going to adopt. So from a security point of view, we're seeing that solutions that rely on all kinds of sensitive personal information, whether it has to do with travel information, their ID, and the way that ID is connected to their health record needs to be kept safe. And this is of utmost importance, not just to the user, but also to the businesses who need to remain compliant with, for example, GDPR, CCPA, PIPEDA, and so on. From a privacy point of view, travelers are increasingly aware and concerned about how their data will be used. And so we advocate for a user-controlled and consent-driven system that allows the user to maintain a peace of mind, and again, while maintaining some compliance with privacy regulations on behalf of the businesses that we work with. And finally, reliability. And so we do think that maintaining a chain of custody of the testing information is critical. Individuals and businesses in particular are relying on this information to keep their passengers safe, to keep their travelers safe, and again, inside and outside of travel. And so we believe that verifying an ID and tying the verified ID to a verified lab confirmed test result is going to help to prevent fraud and improve safety. And that's exactly why we've partnered with hc1. So I'll pass it on to Brent to kind of go over this page and tell us a little bit about why hc1 was such a great fit for Airside in developing a solution that met these key customer needs.
Great, thank you, Jessica. I really appreciate that. And we're thrilled to have an opportunity to get to know some of you today in this environment. I think it's fantastic that industry is collaborating. I think we need this more and more, especially as we try to deploy solutions as partners that can sustain now not only the challenge of time, but the risk that time is going to pose. And I love the 9/11 example. That wasn't just an event that transformed the way we thought about our risk, particularly from a physical standpoint. Now we're talking about that from a digital standpoint and a health standpoint. And this pandemic has really brought challenges across the ecosystem and I think really accelerated innovation. And we're incredibly excited about that. I'm Brent Atwood. I head up the commercial end of hc1. We're a SaaS-based company in Indianapolis, Indiana. And we've been in business 10 years now. And our hallmark has really been in and around fusing lab, pharmacy, and genomic information to generate powerful precision health insights, and then applying machine learning to that to be able to generate proactive signals, originally to caregivers, but now, and as Stacy mentioned this, we want data to travel ubiquitously in the consumer, or in some cases the patient, but in this case, we're talking about the consumer, to be enabled by that and have the power to be informed and act on it, but do so in a way where their confidentiality and their privacy and all of these things are protected. That's critical. And I think what we're getting out of this experience collectively is the motivation and the mission to deliver on that. So we've been in business. I mentioned this is our 10-year anniversary. To give a sense of scale to the audience, we're the largest provider in the world of lab analytics and insights data. We have strategic relationships with 3 of the 4 largest labs in the world. Just as a matter of scale, for instance, we've got, I think in our Health Lake now, 3 billion lab results, and that grows exponentially every year. And that's going to continue to increase as we've now gotten into pharmacy and genomics and other areas. So we're very excited about that. And we're very excited about that we have these cohesive relationships with folks like Quest, Sonic, BioReference Labs, and others. So that really stresses kind of who we are in the market. I think when we talk about the solution, as Jessica laid out, they were looking for a platform provider that can combine those types of pieces of information, but mostly focused on lab and push those out in a powerful way, but it's got to be easy to use. So in the example of COVID, the real challenge is how are you able to go at scale and get these testing results out there, pushed out and available on a single platform, and let us deal with the labs. Let us be that critical interface because we know that business, that's where we've come from. And it's not just to solve the issue of COVID. I think we're all here because we want to make sure this never happens again, or if it does, that we're in a position that we're informed and we have a tool and a system and a solution to be able to fight it and be informed before it hits. And that's, I think, the value that bringing healthcare forward into the equation as a solution provider brings. And then ultimately it's the value, right? I loved what Jessica just said on the final 3 comments. I would just add again, the ubiquity of the experience. This is not just for travel. This is from a consumer standpoint. Anywhere I want to go, point A to point B, I'm there to experience something or many things. And we've got to be able to transcend all of that in an easy way. And I love the credit card example. I think that's absolutely fantastic. That's how we're going to get adoption and consumer behavior to change. So with hc1, we introduce some of these components on the clinical and the lab perspective, and we unify it and make it easy for the partners that we've gone to market with. So with that, I'll let Jessica sort of introduce the overview of the solution that we've been putting together.
Thanks, Brent. And so we wanted to show you a few screens of exactly how the solution works. The users can quickly add their results to their ID for easy use. And so they're going through the system to, on a consent-driven basis, pull in their results as tied to their verified ID. And that's, again, helping to provide the reliability and reduce any fraud risks. That ID is tied to a verified result that's coming directly from the labs into the app. So we know that it's tamper-proof. We know that it is confirmed. Organizations then can set standards on test stage and type. And so we are able to create a use case specific service tile for any individual who or any business that wants to partner with us, so that any rules that you need to apply, whether it's for your back to work initiatives, whether it's for certain destinations and so on, whatever your corporate policies are, can be applied specifically for you, and you can have a customized experience. We are able to pull in, both PCR test results, antigen and antibody test results as well. And we're in the process of adding vaccine results soon, and so those will be available shortly. The great thing about our system is that because it is so privacy driven, we also have an activities log in which anytime you're consenting to share your information and the parameters of that consent are all captured automatically in your activities log. So you always have an audit of how and where your information has been shared. It doesn't have to be the information specifically for organizations that are looking to only receive a green red based on their rules engine. We're able to address that as well, where you're not needing to receive any direct health information if that's of concern from a privacy point of view. Slide, please. Thank you. The components of Health Passport that we believe are really critical and may vary across providers are as follows. So from a data source perspective, we've seen different options. You're going to see more today. In some cases, they can be manually added. In some cases, they're more automated. We do believe where lab confirmed information is possible, that's going to provide the most security. From an architecture perspective, we believe in a decentralized approach because we want to make sure that the information is safe, and having a centralized database of health records, we believe produces an unnecessary risk for users. From a services point of view, I think a health passport should look beyond just COVID testing into vaccines and into other health records that may or not be pandemic or epidemic or endemic related. And then in terms of implementation options, if we could go to the next page, I can walk through those more specifically. Thank you. We're encouraging 4 different options. There's the option of a visual token that is sort of the lowest technology integration required in order to be able to share it. There is the QR code if individuals or businesses are looking for something that is scannable to ensure the chain of custody from a technology point of view. We're able to do boarding pass integrations as well for airlines that are looking for something that is going to take into account certain landing requirements and things like that, and potentially look to see if you, for strict requirement locations, that your boarding pass is only produced electronically once that negative test or vaccine confirmation has been shared. And finally, something that's biometrically enabled is we're able to share a test result along with a confirmed facial biometric with matching machines like this one by Tacent that also has an EBT integrated as well. So you can actually do a seamless travel and COVID solution implementation all in one. Page, please. And I know we're running short on time, so I'll be quick here. So as part of a more integrated COVID solution, the same app and the same technology can also be used for seamless and touchless travel, which is a more holistic COVID response. Page. Brent, do you want to touch on Workforce Advisor really quick? We're sort of at the end of time here.
Yep, I know, I totally get it. And the question here is really, how do you add more value by putting that health-related lab data in the hands of the consumer and also the employer in some cases? And we heard from one earlier. You know, so what we've done is we've fashioned this platform at hc1 whereby we're collecting all of this enormous amounts of lab data, in this case, COVID data, and repurposing it and giving you back that information in the way of dashboards, so that if you're an employer, you've got access to your employees and all of that data. So when you want to talk about things like local risk index, which is hotspots, where are you going to, where are you coming from, literally to the zip code level, so that you can organize how you're going to institute either policies or see how people are complying to those policies. And in the point of consumers, it's being able to see what the risk is before it happens by understanding where those hot zones are and applying that in a dashboard fashion. So this applies just as much as back to travel, back to school, back to work. But we've now purposed this specific to the Airside relationship. Next slide.
Yep, and so this is just our credentials. As we're at time, what we'll do is skip forward from this page to the next page. These are just a few of the highlights of the breadth of scope that Airside has had in our last 10 years, including being recognized by the UN World Tourism Organization as being a top innovator in healing for tourism during this time, as well as the breadth of scope for hc1. And to the final page, please. And so we just wanted to end by, again, reiterating that we are providing a ubiquitous solution. hc1 and Airside are working across a variety of industries that stretch well beyond travel to help enable back to work, back to dining, back to school, and back to sports. So you'll see some of our upcoming announcements soon across all of these 5 categories. Thank you all very much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Brent. I love how there's so many different implementation options. I think it's going to be really easy for the airports, the venues, airlines, et cetera, to work with you guys. And I think partnering with hc1 makes complete sense. And I look forward to seeing exactly who you're going to be partnering with when all that's public. But thank you.
Thank you, Jordan.